Hello everyone. In today's video we're taking a look at 3 Max for Live devices that can be very beneficial for Ableton Live performers. Now all 3 of these devices are made by the same guy, a guy who goes by Panos LA, maybe Panos Law, not sure. Either way, I'll have a link to his channel in the description. He does some of the best Ableton Live performances out there, so make sure to check that out. We'll also have links to all 3 of these devices, and luckily all 3 of them are free. So with that being said, let's jump to the computer and see what we've got. So our first device we're talking about today is this one right here called Shredding Yet, and this one's for actually practicing, not performing. But what it does is nothing new. The concept, it increases your BPM every so often automatically, so you don't have to go up here and adjust that or create scenes to increase the BPM. So down here I have it set to every 1 bar, it increases 20 BPM, so this is the extreme of it. So let's just take a listen how that sounds. So as you can see, as long as the play is enabled, it's just going to keep increasing the BPM until it reaches that max for Ableton. So again, this is an extreme example. Maybe something more reasonable would be every 4, maybe 8 bars, increase it by 5 or 10 BPM. Now, this device is really straightforward, but there's just 2 things you have to look out for. One is that it'll immediately increase the BPM the second you press this play button. So for this example, I still have it set to 20, and I have it set to 120 up here. So if I click this, it jumps right up to 140. So just always keep that in mind, set it lower than where you actually want to start. And the other thing, doesn't happen every time, but if you turn the device off and press play and then turn it on, didn't do it that time, but sometimes it rockets it up to super high BPM. So just make sure you have the device turned on before you press the play button. Our second device we're talking about is this one right here, this fixed length recording, and it does exactly that. It creates a fixed length recording at however many measures you set. Now if you have an Ableton Push, you know that the Ableton Push has the same feature on it. The difference there is with the Ableton Push, it turns it on for all the different channels, which isn't a huge deal because it is just a pinky press away to turn it off. The bigger deal, though, is that it turns it on for the same amount for all the channels. So if you have one channel that needs a 4-bar loop and the other needs an 8-bar loop, you're going to have to manually change that before you press the record button. Whereas this, you can just drag a separate instance into the different tracks and set the length for whatever you need it to. So just for an example, let's take a look at that. Got it set again to 4 measures, click the record button. And you can see it just starts right over looping again once that 4 measures ends. And our third device we're talking about today is this one right here called the Midi Filter, and this will block out certain MIDI messages from being sent and having any effect on what you're playing. So it can be used for accidental presses. So if, say, for example, you accidentally find yourself hitting the pitch bend wheel, just simply uncheck the pitch bend box, and you're good. That wheel will now be useless. I'm using it at the moment here because of this MIDI controller, which is the cheapest one you can find on Amazon. The problem I'm having is it's randomly sending volume messages. Let me turn this off, let me open up Contact, and if I touch this mod wheel, watch the volume over here toward the top right. Just drops it almost down to nothing. Obviously, in a live playing situation, that would be very uncool. So we want to stop that from happening. So we just simply turn on the MIDI filter, and the volume message comes from the CC one right here, so I have that unchecked. So now this cheap MIDI controller, it's not doing that, it's back to being usable. Right, so that's all 3 of our devices, so that'll do it for today's video. As I mentioned, all 3 of these devices are free, and there'll be a link for each of them in the description, as well as the guy who makes them does great Ableton performances, so click his link and go to his YouTube channel and check those out. Now coming up, we're going to have some more videos where we're talking about performing in Ableton Live a little bit more in depth, so make sure to keep an eye out for those. And if you have any devices that you know of that can help with Ableton performances, let me know.